Alright, welcome back everybody. Today we got a new project in the garage. What we have here is a 1998 Jeep Grand Cherokee. This one has the 4-liter. What else it has is I think a Temu short arm kit on it. They replace these arms with like Heim joints or Johnny joints. I'm not sure what they are yet. But the rear of this has been upgraded to a Dana 44. And also all the brake lines are missing. As you can see right here, this is a 1998. These brakes look like they were last used in 1996. So I'm going to have to fix all that. It's got a welded diff. And we're going to change it back to an open diff for now. The goal of this project is, well, it was picked up by a friend. And it was originally set up for a complete off-roader. We had this nice custom fabricated bumper. It also has a custom fabricated front bumper and fender set with the actual like dimples put into it. And some different headlights, a nice winch on it. I believe this has a set of 4-inch lift old man emu springs and somewhat not fancy shocks, but I'm sure they work. Another thing we're trying to do is put the sway bars back in it so it can be roadworthy, but my buddy's trying to make this a decent daily driver to go to and from work, which he doesn't live far from. Another nice thing is it has these solid steel rock sliders on it. So one of the first things I'm going to actually have to do is pull the whole axle assembly out of it, because I have somebody that is willing to trade this welded diff for an open diff of the same Dana 44, and it should just be a bolt for bolt swap. So that'll be the first part of the project, and then the sway bars will probably come second. So stay tuned and watch me take this thing apart. Alright, so I got the axle out. The next step I got to do is I got to take these calipers and caliper brackets off, get the rotors off, so the guy that has the other axle can put his brakes on. Also, most of these lines are pretty trash, and you can see that on this little junction block, that's broken and that's broken. So gonna have to replace all of that on the new one once we get it, but I want to make sure the guy that receives this axle is able to have his brakes. So he's going to use the old ones from his setup, and this, once we get the other axle back, it's probably going to receive new calipers, new caliper brackets, maybe definitely new rotors. So we'll take a look at that. Other than that, everything else on this looks pretty fine, except for I have a slight leak on it, and I think it's from the fill plug, because the fill plug's quite nasty on this one. Oh, that lighting is terrible. But it did leave a nice snail trail in my garage, so one day I'll clean that up. For now, all these arms are hanging here. I got the shocks hanging here. Probably gonna have to do something with that breather tube that's under there. And then, yep, got to redo all the brake lines going from front to back. I guess during his first time off-roading it, really, after he did all the brake lines, he tore it up, and oh man, there's not enough light for this, but down on the ABS pump is where he cut that off and pretty much pinched it so it can't leak to the back brakes. So it only has front brakes, and it does not have good front brakes. I think once we get everything hooked up and bled, it'll work a lot better. But for now, I need to strip this axle and get it loaded in the truck. Alright, so I got it up on cinder blocks. Got the rear diff cover facing up. I am going to pull this and make sure everything in here is okay. That has a really good dent in it, and I might try to pop that back out because I don't want that interfering with the ring gear in here, especially if somebody else is going to be using this. So I'm going to pop all of the bolts out, get the fluid out, take it to them dry, and make sure that the ring gear and pinion look decent. And then I'll also seal this back up when I'm done. Make sure it's a complete job, kind of ready to go. So bear with me on this one, we'll get it done. Alright, so the cover's loose. We're going to go ahead and pull this off. Oh my. There's some nice beads in there. And some chunkies. Oh. That's slag from the welder. Okay. The oil doesn't look terrible. Probably be nice to have a light on that, but I don't know where my light went.
How about that?
You lost my flashlight.
Misplaced.
I will forever live in darkness,
Just misplaced.
never to return.
We'll find it in like 2 days.
I'm blind!
Oh my gosh!
I'm so blind.
Oh gosh.
I can't see anything.
Nothing.
You lost my flashlight.
Oh gosh.
Oh gosh. Whatever will I do?
We'll find it.
I don't even know where my drop light is.
What's that?
The one with the cord.
Why don't you use the one that I just bought you for Christmas?
Because actually it's sitting over on the couch. I'll take that.
You're such a turd.
It's better than nothing right now. Alright, so she found my flashlight, and now it's time to take a look at this. So, looking at it, it's definitely welded everywhere. All around the spider gears. Alright, so looking at it, the teeth are pretty good. There is a hard burr right here on the bottom edge where he probably slid it over a rock or something and folded the pan out, or the cover. So I got a little bit of work to do on the cover, flattening the outer edge. I need to file this down, make it flat, get the oil out, reseal the whole thing, and after that it should be good. But you can see that all the spiders, let's see, where's my flashlight? I just had it right here. All the spiders are welded on all four sides. Give it a 180. He did this side too. All I can say is at least it's not booger blasted. Although, with all that, with all the weld that's sticking to the center shaft, I don't think you'd ever really be able to remove that without like smacking it with a hammer over and over until you break it. So I think this one kind of is what it is since he welded it all in place, but theoretically it could still come apart. Alright, so we're gonna scrape some of this old gasket material off. Most of it looks like it's squeezed out the side, so makes it easier for me. Whoever did this used a good bit. A little more clean in there. Got some up here. Okay, so we're gonna clean up this edge right here on the bottom. I got it covered up with a microfiber for now, but she's been served over the rocks a few times, and that's gonna prevent me getting a good seal with this plate. The diff cover also needs to be hit back flat, so I'll take care of that too. Then I'll pop this dent back out from where it's been put up against something. So that should let me start putting this all back together. That feels much better. Should be able to make that seal up, no problem. Alright, so right here I have the edge of my floorboard for one of my other projects. So I'm going to use that as a nice flat metal surface to help straighten this out. I got a ball peen hammer and a piece of wood. So I'm going to start right here. Alright, not enough weight to that. It's actually some pretty thick metal. I may also try to clamp it in the vise. I'm also going to grab it with that because it really wants to rattle the bones. Alright, it's starting to look like something. Still needs a little bit more here. Alright, that's getting pretty close. And then I just need to flatten this side. Well, still a little bit more to go. Getting a little flatter. Alright, that's a lot flatter. Then we have this dent right here, which I'm not probably gonna get that perfect, but I'd at least like a little bit more clearance from the ring gear, so I don't have problems with that. Grab that with that. Switch to the ball peen. Alright, that should be the clearance we need so we don't actually make contact in the future. But I can almost suspect it's going to get hit again at some point. And if we keep bending it back and forth forever and ever, it'll just get fatigued and break. So now I need to clean this all the way up. Clean the cover all the way up. It's pretty gross on the outside. And get some sealant to put it back on. And then we'll seal it up. Alright, so looking through my old stuff, I found some nice Dynatex black gasket maker. This stuff's oil resistant. It's left over from one of my previous differential builds. However, the kit had enough, so I never actually used this tube. So it's kind of nice to have stuff like this laying around. But what I'm going to do to prepare these first is got some paper towels and some brake parts cleaner. And what you want to do is get your paper towel nice and wet with brake parts cleaner and clean the mating surfaces. Alright, get that nice and wet. We'll start right here. Wipe that down. I know this some of these surfaces might look nice and shiny, but they do have pores and you will get stuff like that off of them. And this helps draw out all the oil from the pores of the metal. That way you can get a nice seal on it. Let's see if I get a little bit cleaner on the other side. Not much cleaner. Alright. So that's pretty well clean. We'll move on to the actual housing. I did scrape this off a little bit better with a razor blade earlier, off camera, and it's looking much better. So, add some more brake parts cleaner, get that nice and wet. And wipe down the surface real good. You can see how much is still on there. Now, want to be careful not to get any of this into the actual housing, because this brake parts cleaner will actually start breaking down the oil in there, and you don't want that. Alright. Give it one more go around. Let's see what else comes off. Alright, so that should let this seal up pretty nicely. So, I'm going to go ahead and open my gasket maker here. Let's see if I can get that to open a little better. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Alright, I'm going to straddle it. And I'll start right here. Nice line on here. Now with this stuff, you don't really want to actually like spread it out and flatten it down. You want to do that with the pinching action of putting the cover on it. And another thing you don't want to do when you go to put the cover on is double tap, which means you touch it to the gasket material and then pull it back off. At that point, you might as well redo it. But this will pinch, and it'll push out a little bit of excess gasket material, and that's alright. Don't really want to peel that off either, or wipe it off while it's drying, because you'll actually disturb the joint sometimes when you're trying to let it cure. Alright, so I've completed the circle. Give it a little bit right up here. Alright, go ahead and put the cap back on. Alright, so now we got to wait about 10 minutes and let the gasket maker kind of form a skin. And then I will put the cover back on and start bolting it down. So I'll be back in just a few. Alright, so it's been a quick 10 minutes. I went ahead and got my tools together for this. And now it's time to set this on here. So, what I'm going to do, got a bolt ready. I'm going to go for that one first. Alright, 2 bolts started. That's a good start. And just keep going around until you get them all in. I expect I'm going to be one short because that one was just filled with RTV. For the application, that'll probably be fine. I'll make sure to get all the bottom ones though. Gotta have those. Oh, that one's nice. It's already been partially ground off. It's a trail modification. Actually, no. It looks like I do have all the bolts. Good thing I kept them all right there. Alright, so all the bolts are started. We'll go ahead and tighten them down in a cross pattern. Alright, so I got a nice even bead to push out around the full perimeter of it. That might be stripped. Oh yeah, I got RTV on my nice socket. Seems like some of these are different sizes than others. Alright, let's just grab a different socket. I'll try 1/2 inch. That seems to do the trick. So these don't really require a whole lot of torque to them, about 20 foot-pounds. So see, the 1/2 inch fits onto some of them, but not all of them. Alright. So we went around it one full circle after doing the cross pattern. Now that gets to sit there and cure. Once that's done, it should be able to be handled, and then I can pull all the burned up emergency brakes off of it, pull the brake line block off of it, and get it ready to go in the other Jeep that it's going in. And then I will get the axle out of the other Jeep and put it in here, so we'll not have a welded diff anymore. Alright everybody, we're back on the Jeep. This is later in the video, but I finally got some parts. As you can see, it is not in the garage anymore. It is currently outside in the cold. But we were able to get a stockpile of boxes for this. We have a ARB air locking differential. We have some coolant, oil, 5 gallons of diff oil. We have a really cool compressor from ARB, and a box of other odds and ends that he also got for this. We got brand new stainless steel brake lines for it. Most of the other brake lines that already came with the kit are already on there, and you can see that I already have brand new brakes, calipers, and I added 4-inch extended brake hoses because it has a 4-inch lift, but the last guy didn't see the point in longer brake hoses, so that's taken care of. Now I have this mostly apart. I had to go out and buy a socket for this, 33mm. Didn't come in my Harbor Freight kit, so this one is a Duralast. Got new wheel seals coming for this. This is a Dana 44 aluminum 30 spline axle. Seems pretty cool. The inside of this, we'll go ahead and roll this over on the jack stands. Set that right there on the generator. When I pulled the carrier out of this, I didn't have to spread the case. I was able to just grab it and lift it out. So it's in there kind of loose. I will hopefully be able to remedy that when I put it all back together. But the next step on this is to remove that pinion gear. And what I got for that is a pipe wrench and that socket. So I'll get you guys set up on the stand, and I'm going to go ahead and continue to disassemble this. And after a while we'll end up over at the workbench where I have to press the bearings on and off of this. So let's get at it. Alright, so I got the pinion out. I got the races pounded out. They are sitting... Oh no, I set them somewhere. Maybe they're up here. Nope, those are the wrong ones. They're right here. So these are the pinion races, the inner and outer. So what I'm gonna go do now is take these two, the new ones, and put them in the freezer. So when I go to put them into the housing, hopefully they just fall right in one at a time. And when they seat, they will do a lot better for being able to hold them in there and get them in there. Shouldn't hopefully have to use a lot of tools to do it. So we're gonna put those right there on the ice cream. Perfect. So give it a few minutes and these will be ready. Alright, it is time to see how the first one goes. Alright, so put that right in. Well, apparently not easy. Oh, it started. So one thing you can do with these is you can actually use the old race to pound in the new race. And when that starts getting out, you need a piece of wood. Maybe. I think it started to go crooked on me. I might have to use the brass punch to get that all the way in there. So where did I set that one? Alright, we'll try this. There it went. Alright, here's where it gets tricky. Once you start getting below the depth of the housing. Gotta be careful not to catch the housing. Alright, let's see if that other race will fit on there now the way I'd like it to. Well, let's see what kind of gap is on the back, because that's really going to determine if it's seated or not. Roll that over. Don't hit the camera. It might hit the camera. Okay, so that's actually seated all the way down. I don't need to go any further with that. So, looking at that surface, there's no issues there. Now, the next step would be putting the one in the other side. Alright, I got the other bearing race right here. And it would be cool if it just fell right in, but I don't think it's going to do that for me. Ah, don't fall. Pull that mirror. Alright, so what I'm going to do for this one is start with a handy dandy 4x4. Because I got enough room there. And my dead blow. Hopefully that gets it started all right. Hey, look at that, it's actually going. So now I'm gonna switch over, since that didn't hit it too evenly. Looks like I'm high on this side, so with my handy brass punch, gotta walk it back and forth. Well, we're almost there. Let's see how far off we are. Honestly, that's pretty close. So a couple more hits and it should be there. Oh, I felt the bounce on that one. That side is down. That side is down too. All right. So we got the brand new races in that go to the new bearings. Now I need a rag to wipe that out. Give her a little spray. Oh, come on. Come on. Just work for me. All right. Get that little wipey doodle. Beautiful. All right. I gotta make sure I get all the rest of that liquid out of there too. Or when I go to add some oil to it, it'll really assist in breaking it down. So, let's see what I got. Let's go that way. Awesome. So, the next step would be getting some assembly lube. No, I'm not even close to that. So I still have to pull the crush sleeve and the old bearing off the pinion before I can move forward with this. So what I'm going to do here is cover that up for now. Keep stuff from getting in there. And we'll move over to the workbench. Alright, so here's another thing you have to do with these ARB differentials. You have to put a hole. I got it center punched right here at the 10 o'clock position. And what goes in here is the bulkhead fitting. So you have to drill that out with a 7/16 drill bit and then use a 1/4 inch NPT pipe tap. I was able to pick one up today, but it was like $18. I've needed one of these before, and I borrowed it last time, but this time I have my own to keep forever and ever for the next one of these I do. Now I need an 1/8 inch drill bit. Now, even though I center punched this, I really don't want things getting out of hand because you really only got one shot with these differentials to get it right the first time, you know. So we're gonna pre-drill this with an 1/8 inch bit. speed. It's aluminum. It should go. Alright, we have punched through. So now I can step up to my 7/16 bit. And drill it out. Nice. Now on the inside of this I did stuff a rag in the axle tube so we don't have any issues with that. I don't want to get metal shavings in there that would find their way back into the differential. And now with the proper wrench I can start my pipe tap. So now I just got to find the right wrench for it. It's probably kind of looks like a 1/2 inch. Which in metric world, that's a 13. Oh, wow, I've never been so wrong in my life. Yeah, we're just going to roll with 11. It's an 11 millimeter. So you want to get it started kind of straight. You get a couple turns in. Oh, that started nicely. And then back off. Cut. Back off. Cut. Back off. Cut. Back off. And you get the idea. Alright, so the first piece just looks like this. And all that's got to do is get started in here. Which is going to be hard because I need to go deeper with that. So, round 2. There we go. That might help me out a lot. Oh yeah, smooth. Oh yeah, that's nice. And I set it down somewhere that I do not know. Well, if you guys see it, let me know where I set it. It's a great way to waste an entire afternoon looking for the thing you just had in your hand. Is it under the WD-40? Oh my god, it's under the can. Oh, what am I doing? This could probably be even a little looser. Boop. And keep on cranking. Oh yeah, that's what I'm looking for right there. That'll turn right down in there and seal up. Got some Teflon tape on it, so it's ready to go. Alright, got it started. Now I can send it home. Alright, that is in there. That is sealed. And I will be able to do everything I need to with that. Alright, so what we have here is an awesome Harbor Freight bearing puller. Tighten it up a little bit. Oh yeah. This is probably going to be fine. Let's see, what else do we need to do? We need to tighten these guys up. Those are 17s. For some reason, this thing sounds like it's not doing... Oh, it's on mode 1, that's why. Maybe if I look before I just say things. If we don't have any problems. Oh yeah, let me turn that up. Uh-oh. That's scary. Oh, it's bending everything. Go back. Oh no. Did I break it? Oh, please tell me that moved. Of course not. There we go. Good thing I sacrificed this Fry Daddy. It's gonna help me heat these bearings up and install them a lot easier. The pinion's in the freezer. I got the carrier in the freezer, but I still got to put the air actuation module on the side of it before I try to set the bearings on it. But this is a nice vat of gear oil, heating up pretty warm. We're going to about 265 degrees on this one, so we're just gonna let it go. Boy howdy, does that smell bad. Alright, now we wait. Alright, pinion's been in the freezer for a couple hours. The shim's already on it. That is absolutely smoking. Might be a little on the hot side, we'll see. Shim's sitting there, so hopefully this goes right down. Hopefully. Oh, look at that. Sits right on it. Perfect. So now we wait and let that equalize temperature. I don't know why the camera shut off, but the bearing slipped right down on there and it's already grabbed hold from where it's warmed back up. So I just put this pinion in my deep freezer for about 2 hours. Probably didn't even need to go that long, but it made it so much easier putting that on. Had the backup just in case, didn't have to use it. That's the way I like to do this. So we're gonna wait a little bit for the carrier to keep cooling off. I did look at it. The shims all go on the outside of the bearings, so I can go ahead and put the bearings on to the carrier. The only thing I gotta do before that is get the air ring with the copper tube onto the carrier first. It goes under the bearing. So I'll catch up with you when I get to that point. Alright, so I messed up. When I was trying to crush the crush sleeve, which is one of these, goes on the pinion. When I was tightening the nut, it stripped out and tore up all these threads on this pinion. So, what's a man to do? I guess live with his mistakes. So, over here, got a brand new ring and pinion for this, which is probably a good idea anyways. We're going to put that in there and just start off fresh. I also got the wheel seals right here and the rear brake lines in to get this all put together. So now I get to put all this onto the ARB carrier, and then I get to take this bearing off. I already ordered a new one in case this one gets damaged when I pull it. They're not bad, they're about $8, and get the shim out from under it so I can put it on the new one. So I'll be back when I get this apart. Alright, time for round 2. Hopefully this just drops right on. No tools needed. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Alright, I do have something else going on over here. As you can see, I have the ring gear up on blocks. So I gotta figure out a way to heat this because it doesn't really fit in the Fry Daddy. I don't want to put a torch on it, so I gotta figure out some sort of oil bath for it. But one thing I like to do with these is I put drill bits that are not super tight into the bolt holes that I'm going to be using, because this one has 2 different sizes. We're going to be using the smaller one with this to locate the carrier as it comes down onto the ring gear, because it's almost a press fit. You have to heat this and cool the carrier to actually get this to go in, and when this seats, it keeps everything concentric. But if you're clocked off and you can't get your bolts in and it tightens up, then you can't rotate it, and you have to figure out how to take it back apart. And almost every time I've done that, it's not pretty. Another thing you have to look out for on these is when you're putting them together, if it doesn't set all the way in, you don't want to draw it in with the bolts, because the bolts won't have enough purchase on the threads, and you'll strip the bolts out almost every time. So when you're putting this together, try to make sure it seats before you actually start tightening all the bolts in. So once I figure out a way to heat this, I'll be back and we'll show that going together. Alright, so I was able to get this oil nice and hot and then take the basket and the heating element out of it, and the ring gear actually fit in there. So that's warming up while the carrier's cooling down. So we'll give this a few minutes and then we'll try to put it together. So see you in a few. Alright, I think we're about ready to try this. So I need my welding gloves. I got plastic gloves on for this one too, because it made quite a splash putting that ring gear in there. And to get it out, I've made a hook. So hopefully it's strong enough to withstand this. Alright. Get my drill bits installed. Go right here and right here. Go both of them that way. Alright, going to get the carrier. Alright, got the carrier. I am over both drill bits. Alright, I'm gonna start some bolts in this so I don't miss my opportunity here. While everything is still freed up, I will have to pull these back out and put Loctite on them. I just want to make sure this thing stays settled while it's cooling and heating, or equalizing temperature. So it was nice. I was able to turn it just a hair because the drill bits didn't get me perfect, but it got me close enough. I wasn't super far off. So I'm gonna get all these started, let it equalize temperature, and then I can go through and Loctite and torque everything. So I still gotta look up the torque spec on these. I'll be back with that. Alright, so while messing with these bolts, I noticed something pretty cool about them. If you look right here, it actually has these little steps in here, almost like a ratchet. So it has 2 methods of locking. You have that's going to dig into the base metal of this, and then you also have Loctite of an unknown name. And some of the bolts I've gotten in the past just have a normal shoulder like this. Let's see if I can get a good angle on that. They have a normal shoulder like that, and literally only relies on just the torque and the Loctite. So this is actually the first time I've seen this kind of bolt. This method is usually used on shouldered nuts of certain varieties, mostly in the power sports industry from what I've seen. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my brake parts cleaner, clean out all the holes because it has oil from when I was soaking the gears. And then that'll make sure that my Loctite gets a nice good hold on it after it cures. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cleaned and start getting the bolts in. For these, we're going with 75 foot-pounds. we're going to be using a nice dial indicating torque wrench. Most people do not own one of these because they are fairly expensive. However, this one was passed down to me through the family. So, cool piece of history. It's an old Sears Craftsman, 0 to 250 foot-pound. And that's what I plan to use for this because it's the most accurate one I have. So, let's get at it. Alright, now we're going to work on getting our bearing shims and seals into this side. And then on top of that, everything gets locked down by the seal. So what I probably need for this is some assembly lube, which I have. Right here I got some Lucas assembly lube. High performance. Ooh. Excellent rust inhibitor. So I'm going to put a little bit right here on the surface. I'm going to spread that around with the old finger. Oh yeah, that is so sticky. It's got little strings coming off of it. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to set my bearing in here. And the two shims that were on top of the old one. If you don't put these in, you will never get them past the seal after you install it. Ask me how I know. So over here we got our brand new seal. And we got some RTV. Dynatex. The good stuff. So it looks like it drops in by that direction, but for some reason this looks a lot bigger than the yoke. Nope, we're good. That's what it's supposed to be. And the spring thingy would go on the inside. Because, okay, there's a little shield that this little ring drops into, so it definitely goes that way. So we're going to get a little bit of RTV, gasket maker, the good stuff. And this does not take a lot. You don't need a whole lot. But basically, run it around the outside, and then we'll work on putting it in. Alright, still got plenty extra. Oh, come on. Stay with me now. Alright, so that'll line up like that. Now I gotta find some sort of sweet instrument to put that in. Oh boy. Hey, that looks pretty nice. Look at that. That's almost perfect. Now, block of wood. And my mallet. Ooh, that almost hurt. That one spot's a little lower than the rest, so we're gonna go this side. Maybe I like this. I don't know yet. And back down to here. Alright, the seal's in. And I didn't break anything, so that's perfect. Ow, there's metal in my finger. Alright, so that's gonna dry up. Got my pinion still cooling off over there. Bleeding now. I'll be back. Alright, now it's time to load the pinion into this thing. I already lubricated the inner bearing. I gotta feed it up through there and get everything going. So this is a crush sleeve on it that actually sets the preload between your front bearing and this bearing. Change this every time, generally. If it's an emergency, you can get by with some other stuff, but I wouldn't rely on it. So we're gonna put this through. Oh, missing one more piece. I need the yoke that is splined to match this. Alright, so here's the yoke that will be going on that. So what you want to do is to keep oil from traveling up your splines. You want to spray this out with carburetor cleaner. Make sure it's dry. You'll take a little bit of gasket maker and put it on the inside. So this keeps the oil from coming out through your nut area of all this junk conjoining together. Now some's going to push out when you put this on. That is normal. Loading it in. These things to line up and put that on to draw that all the way in and set the preload. So I still need to gather a few tools to do this. I'll be back. Alright, so I finally have the differential set up. It's all in here, all bolted down. It has this little retaining plate that goes on here to hold the adapter for the ARB air circuit on there. I still have to clean all this up and fit it into the bulkhead fitting, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Got the axle slid in and had to figure out all the shimming for the C-clips so the center rod would actually go in and stay in and have minimal play on the axles. A little bit of play on them, you want that because they spin opposite ways against that center pin, but it should be fine. So the next part of this will be putting in all the rotors the calipers, the pads, the brake lines, and finishing it out, cleaning this out one more time, and putting the differential cover on it. So let's go ahead and make that happen. Alright, so we got it all together. I just got to tighten the banjo bolts, the line connections, and this banjo bolt here. And then, once I put fluid in it, I'm going to do that while the cover is off, and this is tipped downwards. Once I have fluid in it, I can put the cover on, and then I'll put the wheels on, and I will roll it out to the Jeep and put it in. Alright, so I got the back axle rolled up under here. Got a few bolts in it. It's fully assembled. Still got to hook up the brake lines and do stuff with the sway bars. Hook the shocks up. So I'm going to try to get a lot of this done before it gets cold tonight. So time to start on it. Alright, so I got most of the bolts tightened up, drive shafts in, shocks are on. I got a few more things to tighten up and the brake line to connect, but it's starting to get dark and it's getting really cold, so I think I'm done for the night. I'll pick back up on this another day. Next up is sway bar links. What I got here is I've taken some round stock and I've cut some holes in it. I've taken all the rear links and cut them in half and cleaned them up. They're going to sit in here. This round stock is 5 inches long because between these surfaces on the pieces here was 1 inch. It's got a 4-inch lift, so we're adding 4 inches between the mounting points. So I'll go ahead and get these welded up and see how they fit on the Jeep. Alright, so it's another day. Slightly warmer, not much, but it's daylight out. So we're back on the Jeep. So far, I've gotten the brake line hooked all the way back up. I don't know if you'll be able to see it over there. So now the next step is for me to bleed the brakes. Now usually a lot of people do this with 2 people or with a fancy tool, but I'm not 2 people, nor do I buy fancy tools. So what I got here is I put a hose and a wrench on here, and I ran the hose up, over, and it continues to go up to a clear hose and into this container, being my high point. So in theory, when I pump the brakes, it should push it up this clear hose until I have no bubbles, and all the extra should go into this container. Therefore, I can do it by myself. So I'm going to go ahead and try that, and I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, so the brake bleeding worked perfectly for the first wheel. It came all the way up, went in the container, and all the bubbles came out. So now I gotta do it to the other 3 wheels, and I'll catch up to you when that is done. Alright everybody, after a long arduous process, we're almost done with the Jeep, at least as far as I'm gonna work on it. Right here I have the air line hooked up for the ARB. Follows the brake line. It goes up through the floor there, through a rubber grommet. And I found a pretty cool place for this air compressor to sit. basically you have a back seat, and on these they do in fact fold forward. I need to move this, and underneath that fits under there perfectly. So I have this routed through. The solenoid's installed on the compressor. The bracket still needs mounted down, and this mounted to the bracket, but the owner of this Jeep's actually going to take care of that one. So this will be pretty much the end of my videos on this, I think. Anyways, thanks for watching. It's been a long one. See you next time.